Hi, I'm John Campo, and I'm here to talk a little bit about my family and its Italian Sicilian heritage and Sicilian immigration through New Orleans and some of the benefits and influences that Sicilians had on New Orleans. My grandparents immigrated to the United States on both sides of my family, father and mother's side, around the turn of the century. On my father's side, they immigrated through the port of New Orleans, and on my mother's side through Ellis Island. My grandfather, whose name was Tony John Campo, and some of his brothers immigrated first through New Orleans, and as I appreciate it, there were about 500,000 Italian immigrants that came through the port of New Orleans around the turn of the century, primarily between 1900 and 1920. My grandfather and his brothers worked on the West Bank, and they cut sugarcane with descendants of slaves for about 2 years. And like many Italians that had immigrated, the men came first, and the money that they made they sent back to Sicily, and they were able to have their wives and children then come to America from the monies that they had saved. So whenever they came to New Orleans, the Italians had, some of them stayed in New Orleans, the Campos and Scatonis, Ardillos, a lot of Italian names there. But many of them actually moved to the Amite, Louisiana area, Tickfaw, Ponchatoula, Hammond area, because they were farmers. And in Sicily, that's what they did. They were farmers there, so it was a natural thing for them to do the same thing here in America. So at that time, they were unable to pay for the land, but they were able to lease it. And so my grandfather and his brothers, who, by the way, married my grandmother and 2 sisters, so we have 3 men in the family marrying 3 women, so we have for my father's generation, double first cousins. So they farmed in the Tangipahoa area that I just mentioned, and at that time they farmed tomatoes, a lot of vegetables, some corn, but they also learned about strawberries. And today, with respect to New Orleans, Ponchatoula strawberries are something that we all know and love and are marketed all over the world, as I understand it, but it also has a direct tie to New Orleans in terms of some of the food that they cook, particularly during the spring.